Good afternoon, once again, Undiscovered Room. How's everybody doing today? Do we have some supernatural fans here? Excellent, excellent, excellent. So without further ado, we're going to welcome in our two guests for this panel. Please welcome in Samantha Smith and Mark Pellegrino. Welcome to White Plains, New York.
Woohoo! Thank you. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
What's up, y'all? Love these microphones.
Official.
You're like a air traffic controller.
Does he need his own microphone?
Yes, this is Frankie, everybody. He's 18 and a half years old. He's my new
Frankie.
He's my ride or die. Yeah, he's my hellhound. I love him very much. He goes everywhere with me.
We're just going to spend the next half hour looking at Frankie.
Thank you.
Welcome. So, I guess we're going to talk some supernatural here. If you guys have questions, we'll get the opportunity for doing that as well. So, I guess, let's talk a little bit about supernatural. You got iconic show. What do they call 11 seasons?
15
seasons. Oh, sorry.
15.
I missed the last 4. Iconic series. What was it like being part of such a long-lasting and iconic program?
Terrible. I mean, I hate employment, number one. Long-term employment is awful. And working with people you actually really like to work with sucks. I mean, because it's like going to set with your family, and who wants that? And you know, when you think you're on a show only for, 6 episodes or so, then you get called back multiple times over the years. Sucks. Terrible. No, I really love Supernatural. It's one of my favorite shows to have worked on. I'm not saying that just because present company here is one of my favorite people to work with, but because the show really was like a family. You know, Hollywood tends to be a little bit of a caste system, you know what I mean? Like, where there's the above the line and the below the line people, and oftentimes they don't mix, but in Supernatural, we all mixed with each other, and we all saw each other socially. And between times, we keep each other on track with each other, even now, the show's been over. So, it's like family for me.
It is. And we have, I was just this morning, we have a group chat with 26 or 28 of our cast members, and it's every day, some kind of crazy. There's always birthdays and Father's Day, and stuff happening with families and kids being born and all that. We're all in constant touch. And Supernatural is lightning in a bottle, in large part due to you guys. The fans, everyone asks us how it happened, and we're like, I have theories, but you can't explain it, and if you could, people would copy it, and they try. But it's special. The camaraderie of our cast, the camaraderie of the fans, and the camaraderie with us together is, I don't even think it's like Star Trek. I think it's different. To be so fortunate to be a part of something that has meant something to so many people. And then during COVID, like, how many of you watched Supernatural the first time after 2020 or later? That's crazy. That's crazy amazing, because we have a whole new generation of people watching the show. And I just keep getting older, and they stay the same age. It's very crazy. But we're grateful, and could not have imagined this happening in 2005 when I died in the first 90 seconds.
Well, before getting into starring Supernatural, were you guys fans of the horror and fantasy genre, or was this a new thing for you?
I'm a huge horror fan, but I had never seen Supernatural up to that point. I did see Jared kind of like in House of Wax and Friday the 13th. I'd never seen him in in Supernatural until I got a chance to nearly kill him multiple times, which was fun.
I liked horror until I watched the first Nightmare on Elm Street. That cured me of liking horror movies.
Really?
Oh, I was like, wait, they can kill you while you're sleeping? In your dream? No thanks. That was the end of that for me. I still do like, as I say to you, I was watching, in preparation for 28 Years Later coming out. I was like, let's watch 28 Weeks Later, which I'd never seen. Couldn't get through it. It was like,
Have you seen 28?
why are they sprinting? Zombies are supposed to be slow. What is happening here?
Did you ever see 28 Days Later?
Yeah, though that, because I love that so much. Horrifying.
Yeah.
Horrifying, but I'll watch anything with Killing Murphy in it. But I'm a huge sci-fi person. Books, movies, TV, like Battlestar Galactica is my, what do they call it, my Roman Empire? Am I allowed to say that? So, I watched Supernatural as beginning, because as some of you may know, I went in the first 7 and 8 seasons, I was only in sporadically. And so I could kind of feel like I was watching a show that I wasn't in, even though they talked about me all the time, and every once in a while I'd be surprised by myself on fire in the opening credits. I just liked it. I liked the content, the angels, the demons, and I didn't like the monster of the week as much, because that was more horror. But yeah, anyway.
But I like the fact that the narratives about the angels and demons was so different than what we're used to, right? I mean, especially in season 5, Lucifer promises he'd never lie, he'd never tell a lie, and he didn't in season 5. He lied quite a bit later on. But in that season, he had a certain majesty to him, and you could tell that he had a cause, a real cause, and the other angels were sort of dicks, right? And you could sort of get on the side of the quote unquote bad guys. You could understand where they were coming from. I like that.
I think that was flipped in the show on purpose. Like they always famously were like angels were dicks, like they hated them.
Yeah.
And we talked about why, and we thought, and why demons were demons, but also reasonable sometimes. And we thought maybe it was because demons used to be people, and angels never were.
But no, Kripke never signed up on that one. It was just a theory.
Yes.
It was a good theory.
Mm-hmm. Some bit of humanity left in the demons.
So I want to ask about Lucifer. So over time, how did you shape that character? Because I mean, he was funny, he was terrifying. How did that evolve?
Best Lucifer ever.
I didn't shape Lucifer. The writers basically did, and I think the fans sort of did in a way, because season 5 Lucifer is very different from when he comes back, and later iterations of him. After he gets into Sam's head, it's a very different Lucifer, and I think the writers liked the comedic aspect of him and the fact that he was more like a trickster and played with people, and they like the fun of Lucifer, and they began to play that a lot more, I think, as the episodes went on. And then, they're sort of writing for you as well after a while, because they start to know your voice, and then it just sort of you and the materials sort of start to meld after a while and become one. And since I've finished doing the show, I do feel like I am, in fact, the meat suit of Lucifer. And if you get a cameo from me, you will see that I do, Lucifer does do actual cameos, not Pellegrino. In fact, they make fun of each other when they're doing cameos. Yeah, Lucifer will make fun of Pellegrino or something. That's weird. It's weird. But after doing a show that long, I think it's sort of, fusion happens.
Yes, so you start out, I think the Supernatural casting directors were spot on. They really caught the essence of the character, but then the character, the longer you were on the show, the more they wrote to who you were, your strengths as an actor. And I think that happens in many shows. Like they'll see what your sensibilities are, what your humor is, what your strengths are, and they write to it. I felt like all the characters had such unique voices. A lot of times it doesn't always happen on shows. Like you can tell it's the writer's voice coming through all the different faces. And on Supernatural, I felt like everyone was very specific. And one of my favorite times on the show was those few episodes when we were in the AU and just bickering
I love that.
like Fred and Ethel. I just loved it. And you were so
I thought that was going to go somewhere.
I did
I really did. I know we've talked about that before, but I really thought how weird it would be for the Winchester boys if their mom and Lucifer got together.
Oh my God!
That's what it was like. It was like,
Yeah,
it was like a rom-com in the AU.
It was. But then
We hate each other at first,
but then he went for catch.
momentarily. Momentary loss of reason. He drove a Bentley. It's not my fault.
Yeah, but can I just tell you the scene with him in bed with his naked legs sitting up is burned into my memory forever and ever and ever. I can never forget that image.
Sorry.
Are you good? You guys know what I'm talking about? Okay, is it in lips? I see.
With both of your characters, like there was a lot of emotional weight that came with it, right? An internal conflict. Was there anything?
Well, nothing happened to Mary.
Nothing at all, right?
It's totally normal.
Was there anything in the characters that really challenged you as actors to bring that to the screen?
I think one of the hardest moments for me was when Mary came back at the end of beginning of season 12, and I had to try to feel and portray having been dead for 30 years and coming back. My kids are grown, my husband's dead. There's computers. We now know angels apparently, and trying to catch up to the life that she came back to. And at the same time, I was newly on the show full time. I'd only ever been there for an episode or so at a time, and suddenly I'm there all the time. And they were like, "You're here again." I'm like, "Nope, still here. Yep, never left." So I was chasing it at the same time Mary was chasing it, and that helped me. But it was still challenging to keep it. Like there was a lot of noise in my head. Weirdly, the crazier the things that were happening were, because that was in coming back to life. Was crazy, but everything I was dealing with was rather mundane stuff, like just modern life. The crazier the things that happened were, the easier it was to do. Because you're like, well, this is just crazy, and you don't have to like try to understand it. Whatever. Like being in the 80 with them, it's just like, oh, we're here now, and everything's gray.
Yeah, I know, it was crazy. Yeah, for me. The whole thing was about toxic families, and I just referred to my own life for that. No, it was, I got to work out serious, you can do that sometimes with acting, you work out serious issues, so if you're going to work out with your baby rock, as it grows older. No, I got to be an abandoned son, which in fact I was in my life, and I got to be a dad, attempt to be a dad, but get rejected. Which didn't happen in my life, but I can imagine what that's like. And to try to really be there, to try to be the dad that your father wasn't for a child who then rejects you for some stinky old Winchesters and a crappy fallen angel coming in to cast you out. I'm not bitter about it.
It's fine, it's totally fine.
I'm just saying, you should have chosen me. Anyway, but I think we all understand rejection. We all understand what it's like to want to be loved and to not be loved. And that is what I think, really motivated Lucifer through his whole arc. Well, he didn't really have an arc, but through his whole storyline, his whole narrative was being spurned and rejected and wanting to get revenge for that. And that reflects my own narrative in life, and I want to get revenge against as many people as possible for rejecting me. Sam was like, "I'm getting out of here." I saw that coming. I'm joking. I don't feel that way.
Were there any storylines or character moments that you guys pitched for your characters that were rejected, or some things that even went through?
He's not mad about that either.
Yes, I wanted Lucifer to have a redemption arc, and only one writer in the room wanted to have a redemption arc. Everybody else didn't think I should have one. Did you think Lucifer should have a redemption arc?
For
Raise
sure.
hands for people who say yes. Raise hands for people who say no and then get out of the room. Well, okay. I do have an angel blade concealed under my dog. Yeah, so I wanted to have a redemption arc, and I thought Jack was going to be that redemption arc. And they're going to go happily into the sunset together and create the universe that they wanted to create. And it never happened. It never happened. So I
wish you had done that just a little sooner.
and when?
Like before he blew me into a million pieces.
Did you see what he did to me?
That's why he killed me, because I know him for what he did to you.
Oh, yeah.
So thanks.
Well, you finally had my back for once in the show.
Yeah.
In the alternate universe, I'm like, Mary, she punches me in the face. That's why I thought we were going somewhere.
I got to punch you more than anyone else on the show.
You did, huh?
I think I'm the only one who punched you.
You were the only one who punched me. No, that's not true. We had a big cage fight. But nobody really punched me, I punched everybody else.
Right.
So you are the only one who actually made contact. Yeah, so that's true.
You deserve it. I forget your question.
If you pitched anything, for your
Oh,
character.
yes, I wanted to wear hats.
Really?
Yeah, and I have naturally curly hair, and as you know, Vancouver rains all the time. And so they had blown her out straight, and I said, I think Mary should wear like Peaky Blinders hats
Oh.
outside for everyone's economy, and because it rains, and they don't have girls on the show. I'm like, you're setting yourself up for trouble.
There was girls.
And they said no. Also, no umbrellas. You're not allowed to have umbrellas on the show. Apparently, there was an errant umbrella somewhere in season 1. And Eric Kripke lost his mind and said, Winchesters don't use umbrellas.
Oh, I've heard
And that was the end of that until the next season, and we were doing, they must have learned, because I had curled hair and it was raining, and they're like, you're using an umbrella. I'm like, what?
What episode was that?
It was with Bobby, with Jim Beaver. We're walking through the woods, and I think we find a dead body, as you do. And then I was in a leather jacket, and it was the only one we had. Normally you have duplicates of outfits, and then we had the one leather jacket, and it happened to be raining, and my hair was nicely curled, and they're like, here. And I'm like, is this because Eric's no longer producing the show? You're allowed to have umbrellas in it. And it's the only other time there's ever been an umbrella on the show. Yeah, but I wanted hats, which I thought could be a good thing at least. We tried on a bunch, the wardrobe person was all over it, and the producers like, absolutely not. So that's very deep and meaningful. Almost as deep as a redemption arc. Other than that, I didn't want Mary to have love interests.
Oh.
I didn't want Bobby or Ketch. Nothing against David or Jim, I love them both. I didn't want Mary to be having love interests. They wanted to pair her off with Ketch, and that was only temporary, obviously, because then he brainwashed me, and then I had to shoot him in the face. But
That's right, you guys had that big fight. Didn't you have a big
we had a cage match.
Big cage match.
Mhm.
What?
And then I won.
still
I
don't-
totally won, and then he cheated. He used a taser.
Oh, that's right.
Huh?
Mhm.
What?
Yeah.
But I'm still having trouble with this match. Your catch.
Listen, we drank bourbon and he had a Bentley. It lasted like an hour, and then I'm over it. And he wanted to be my boyfriend, and I was like,
No.
I'll text you. And then the Jim Beaver thing, the Bobby thing, like kind of for a second, and I was like, just because I'm the only girl on the show, don't give me a love interest.
Right.
And I kind of played against it, and it didn't end up happening.
Well, that's probably good.
I think
Because it makes you a strong independent person.
I just.
Don't need it. But you
I
did
had one,
need.
and listen, by then I've been alive again like a year, and in my mind, my husband died like a minute ago.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, I'm not ready. And just, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, come on.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
then you guys got a chance to have a reunion anyway, right?
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it all came full circle for you. For me, I mean,
If we had gone just another 5 seasons, I think
Yeah.
yeah. chance.
Well,
Well, you didn't kill Mary, so I think that was a bit of redemption. You were using her as bait, but you could have killed her. Didn't matter.
I could have.
Yeah, you did.
And I didn't.
And
But
nice
who was
again.
grateful for it? 0, nobody.
Mary was grateful.
Well, you mentioned going on for another 5 seasons. There's always rumblings that maybe the show's going to come back in
Yes,
some shape or form. If it were to come back, would you like to see it as a series? Would you like to see it as a theatrical thing? And where would you like to see the storyline pick up and go?
Well, yes, I'd like to see it come back as a series that runs for another 15 seasons.
Perfect.
I would like it to pick up around Lucifer's redemption arc. I would like that to be the primary focus of all 15 seasons, if possible. And and in there, I hope I get to beat up a Winchester at least once per episode, and maybe even do bad things to Crowley.
Beat up in a feature film after the 15 seasons.
Yeah, then do a feature film around Lucifer. Okay.
I'm sort of envisioning like a 6-episode reboot or continued boot or something. A reboot of the end. Something like that. And honestly, that everyone wants that.
Yes.
And I can't say it's a plan because nothing's been written, nothing's been signed, there's no, it's not happening, but everyone's like, we'd love to do that.
Could they couldn't, you said reboot the end, is that what you said? They couldn't really do the end the way they wanted to because of COVID, right?
Right, so
Oh, yeah.
the idea was, the overarching idea was that, yes, Dean would die and Sam would die later and they'd end up in heaven, but when Sam got to heaven, the story would have been a little different. And when he got to heaven, Dean was running a bar, but everyone was in the bar. Me, John, probably not you. Everyone that had died was waiting for him. So the very end was going to be different. But I mean, it was similar. They did with what they were able to do because it was 2 weeks quarantine in Canada to film, so they couldn't bring in 25 actors and put them up for 2 weeks, and nobody's gonna get COVID.
And if you broke quarantine, it was like a $750,000 fine.
And the actors, man, you can't trust them to stay in one room.
Sam asked me if I stayed in my room.
Did you stay in your room? No. No. So I went to do Star Trek that next year, and it was still 2-week quarantine, and it felt like space jail. I was in a tall hotel. All I could see was buildings around me. I could look up.
Were you at the
and see-
level?
No, it was in Toronto.
Oh, sorry.
And they kept knocking on my door to make sure I was there. They would call. I'm like, I'm calling my cell phone. You could be anywhere. I did move rooms after the first day because I couldn't even see the sky. I was like, listen, I'm actually not a criminal. I need to not be in a jail cell. But so for 2 weeks it was, and COVID tests every 3 days, and it was a lot.
I mean,
so
just so you know, even though I said I walked around, I did, but they were going to keep me at the level. I said, I have 2 little dogs. I can't stay at the level and just have them go to the bathroom on the frickin' balcony. They need a little space. They need to walk them around a yard or something. So they got me an Airbnb.
oh
And so I was able to go out into the yard, which turned out onto the sidewalk, which then turned out to around the block. And then, and luckily nobody came by while I was doing that, but there was nobody around. And people are so paranoid about COVID. It's like you could get in trouble just for walking around with nobody around.
I mean, that's good.
Yeah, even if you have a mask on and you're outside, you can still get busted. But luckily that didn't happen with me. And then they'd come around and they'd do that test where they stuck a Q-tip into your brain, literally up into your brain.
Down to your brainstem, yes.
It was
Nosebleed, the whole thing.
worst experience on the planet. They had to do that a couple times, I think, for me.
Yeah, so I think that the show didn't end how anyone really had hoped, but they were very limited in what they could do. But yeah, I think I don't think they would change the ending. I think they would write a new chapter.
This is going down in film, and right now the Canadian authorities are going to be watching this.
They're going to be retroactively
That
750 grand.
motherfucker. We saw you, now you can't come into Canada to work. That's what they're going to say.
I want to open up to the audience for anybody who has any questions. We can come right over to this